March 4th, 2025, Meghan Markle's new cooking show came out with Love Meghan. And today we're going to talk about it, mostly about how it's terrible. There's no way to get around that fact. Her cooking show is bad. If you haven't seen it, trust me, you don't want to. I mean, I came into it as a hate watch, okay? I didn't expect going in and saying anything good. So, when I was actually watching it, I was shocked at how terrible it was. It exceeded my expectations. And I have to talk about it. I really do. With Love Meghan is unbelievably bad. It all started with the trailer. When I was watching the trailer that Netflix released, I was shocked. I was shocked at how low quality it was for a production, like a professional production. And we all know that Netflix is good. It is the goat of all of the streaming platforms. And its originals are always perfect, okay? So when I was watching this shitty fucking show, I was shocked that it came from Netflix and was allowed by Netflix. And as for what it makes it low quality is the fact that it's choppy. Okay, everything jumps around. We'll go from one scene in the kitchen of her cooking, and then we'll jump to a scene of her outside with the bees, and there's no transition, there's no explanation or transition at all of what they're doing, why they're doing it, anything. It's just a scene of her with the bees, and I can only assume that because she's now wearing the bee suits, but she's not even wearing hers. It's like, and there's no written description either. The lack of stated planning and laid out time organization is absolutely scary to me, considering how long the episodes are. These episodes are like an hour long. How do we not have even one instance of her saying, this is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it? I was so confused. When they pulled out the bees, I knew it was the bees. I knew that she was copying Catherine specifically, and that she wanted to show off that she was a beekeeper, which is not true, but she wanted to show it off, and I was like, okay. And then they opened it, and I was like, okay, this is fine. And I was like, why are they opening this bee case? Like, aren't the bees supposed to be, like, in the case? And then they start scraping out the honey, and I'm like, okay, they're here to harvest the honey. That could have been explicitly stated. And then later, she is making recipes with the honey, but she's never mentioned that she went to the bee range specifically to harvest honey, specifically for her products. Okay? This was never explicitly stated. It was led to the viewer to understand, which I did not. I have no idea anything about bees or beekeeping. I was so confused the entire time. And there's no written description on the screen either. Not even Netflix would fucking put a single effort into that shit. Which, I don't know, fair enough. And she's a terrible host, because that's what a host does, isn't it? Oh, here I am. I'm at the bee range in June. The perfect beekeeping season to harvest the honey, and I'm harvesting the honey to use in my recipes. Like, that's literally it. But she can't be asked to do that. She has to make awkward small talk with everyone that she comes in contact with. And then the rest of the episodes where it's not awkward small talk, it's just silent panoramic frames of just aesthetic imagery. And it's like, my favorite theory is that Netflix was the one to do this. They knew that her show, her writing style was not good. She was not writing the dialogue because it was scripted, but we'll get there. But she did not plan the show out well, and as a result, Netflix was like, okay, we're basically just gonna put these aesthetic camera shots because that's the best that they could do, is just cut her out completely. I wouldn't hate the small talk nature of the show if it wasn't so scripted. That is the thing, is that the dialogue is so forced and made up, and there's also this sense of awkwardness. Like, why is there this awkward pause when the next thing out of your mouth is something about joy or something about how good Meghan Markle is? It's like, you know that you were scripted to say this, for at least like 10 lines before. So why is there this awkward silence? And another part of that is that she never looks at the camera. She wants to make a connection with her audience, whatever. And part of making a connection with the audience is making eye contact with the camera. But what she does is that she looks down or she looks away. And it comes off as really impersonal. I mean, obviously, but there's many theories for this. My theory is that she has a semblance of a conscience in her mind. And she knows that she is lying directly to the audience. And because of that, she cannot lie while looking them in the eye. She has to look away and lie. That is what I believe. I believe that 1,000,000%. Because obviously we know that Meghan Markle is a narcissist. She has no empathy and she has no emotion. But I do think on this one point that that is a genuine view of her, because that's why I even watched the show in the first place, is to see the real her. And we don't see it all the time. We see it in specific instances, and that is one of them, is that she will not look the camera in the eye. Why is that? Is it because she's telling the truth? Obviously not. She cannot take her own bullshit. That is my opinion. Another theory is that she cannot look in the camera because she is an actor. Same as the last one, but it's like she's putting on a facade. That is it. She is putting on an act. And as an actor, you are taught to not look at the camera, to appear as one would without a camera there at all. It is so abundantly clear that she is fake. She is putting on the fake persona. And this is just the icing on the cake. Is that not only does she have to act, she has to act like an actor. She has to put on the performance and then some. It makes me super especially uncomfortable when she offers the camera crew food and then she makes them eat it. And then they have to pretend like it's good. She has her friends on the show, and her friends, they lie and they say that her food is good. She cannot cook. She did not make this cooking show to cook. She does not know how to cook. But the food is bad, okay, period. And she makes the camera crew eat it, and I think that is fucked up. I think that is so controlling. And she does it specifically to seem in touch with the working class. What a joke, okay, period. And all I could think while watching that scene is leave them alone. Leave them alone. When other chefs do it, it's actually a choice and it's actually good food, okay? And it's like super, it causes its own contradiction, because like a scene before she was talking about nut allergies, all of this stuff, but then it pans to like all of the cameramen, like all 10 of them eating like this raspberry that she picked from her garden. And it's like, okay, what about their nut allergy? What about their preferences? They are not actors. They should not be acting in your show. Fundamentally, the problem with the show is that she does not have any characters. Compare it to Pamela Anderson, who she's stealing this entire concept from. Pamela Anderson is entertaining, she's genuine, she's whatever, because she has her own children and husband and all this stuff that grounds her. Anytime that she's like doing this or doing that, she is considering them, she is grounding them. That is the heart of her business, is her family, because it's a genuine attempt. And for Meghan Markle, she has none of that. The kids don't exist. And Harry, silence, dude. She has no side characters, so she has to invite her friends to join the show. And as you might have noticed, is that she doesn't necessarily latch onto these people, but obviously they're there for a benefit. They are not there out of like the goodness of their heart. They are there for money. They are there for clout. Period. Who would even want to be associated with her? That's my question. Anyways, she has these people on the show, and she makes them the center point of the show instead of the opposite. Instead of making and actually being a good host to them like she claims with the freaking Epsom salt or whatever, instead of that, she puts the spotlight onto them. She puts all of the work onto them. They are the personality of that show. And I can see this no clearer than in the episode that I watched. Her friend for 15 years, her makeup artist. The entire episode, I'm like, oh yeah, he's a great guy, like, whatever. The emphasis is on him because he has an actual personality. He has a personality, which she does not. She can't even put in the own soul into her own show. She has to steal it from others. That's the best way I can describe it. She needs other characters because she could not make a show by herself. Versus someone like Pamela Anderson, she has people that mean something to her, etc., etc. Meghan Markle, she acts like her family are props. I mean, if you really want to get down to the soul of the point, is that Meghan is not grounded by anything. Maybe it's the craziness, the narcissism in her life, but she does not have a single constant, including her own husband, her own children. And that's what makes her utterly notorious, is that she's putting on an act of a normal person. As a narcissist, she puts on an act of how a normal person, a genuine person, would be. She puts on an act. The awkwardness and like the disconnect that we feel and the overall like morbidness to the entire series is based on the fact that she is acting as a normal person and it is not working. That like unsettling feeling is because we're watching someone attempt to be someone and it fails, and that's why we feel uncomfortable. That is the best way that I can explain it. Overall, the show has no substance. That is the main issue, is that the show has no substance. It has no soul. It has nothing. The only reason she made it is to improve her public demographic, whatever. It didn't work. So, even talking about it, many people have theorized that Meghan cannot take direction, and Netflix is good. Netflix is really, really good. There is no doubt in my mind that Netflix looked at her piece of shit show and said, fuck no, fix this. And she couldn't take the feedback. She had to make it her way. She had to make it this way. She has this grandiose sense of self. She thinks that she could do good and that we're gonna eat it all up and that we're gonna join her cult. We're gonna join her cult. Netflix is silent. Netflix is staying out of it. Netflix dropped 8 episodes at once, hoping and praying that she would go away or self-implode, whatever would benefit them the most. So Netflix has to sit back and laugh as she ruins her own brand, ruins her own reputation. They sit there as like the oligarchs, the gods, whatever, of the entertainment industry, and they have to watch her attempt her best. And they help it as much as they can, but it's disorganized because she rebrands and all of this stuff. Because she cannot keep a consistent personality, nothing grounds her. So then Netflix just sits back, and I disagree with the main theory that Netflix wants nothing to do with her, because I do agree dropping 8 episodes at once is very targeted. That was because they do not want any more acceptance. They accepted her show for whatever reason, and then they're gonna say no more. But I don't think that Netflix wants nothing to do with her, because obviously they don't. They don't want to be caught in the crossfire. But my main thought is that Netflix, or just in modern day, brands love sensationalism, bad press, good press. They want people to watch the show no matter what. They don't care if it's hated. If anything, it is hated. People hate watch it. I hate watch it. I only gave it the singular view of the singular first episode, and then I couldn't go on anymore. And I think that is what Netflix wants. They will have this online drama for as long as it benefits them, because I do think that Netflix benefits. The best way that I can explain it is that, of course, Netflix is not going to put this show to the number one spot and endorse it anymore. But at the same point, they are very, very strategic. I believe that. If they did not want Meghan to have a cooking show, she would not have one. They gave her the platform on purpose because they want to watch her explode. Or the other theory is that once she gets divorced from Harry, she will make a biography about being divorced and try to rebrand herself, which is what she's trying to do here, but whatever. And she will try to rebrand and make this divorce and try to make money from it, of course. And Netflix will be waiting and will be watching. Because either way, they either benefit from endorsing her, like, they benefit from endorsing her enough. They gave her this show in hopes that she would mess it up and that it would fail. They hoped that people would hate watch it. I believe that. I really do. We had like the Oscars, I think, where the CEO billionaire of Netflix is sitting in the audience and somebody jokes, haha, like that Megan's a bitch, and then he laughs. I think he's in on it. I always have thought that Netflix is in on this. Whether or not she self-implodes or people hate the show, it brings attention. It brings attention. And that's what Netflix wants, is attention. How many people were talking about Netflix before the scandal came out? My main point is that, of course, obviously, Meghan is a narcissist. Period. There's no bigger narcissist than Netflix. I believe that wholeheartedly. People think that she is the monster and that they are trying to rein her in. And partly I agree, because she needs to be reined in, but they're not doing that, are they? They are keeping her on a leash, I do believe. But they are in control. Whether she succeeds or not, they are watching. Like, that is what I think. It's like I said earlier, they would not have given her a platform if it didn't benefit them in any way. So when people, theorists on here, say that Netflix has nothing to benefit, I don't believe that. I just don't. I'm pretty sure Meghan made a post partnering with Netflix, pitting them both as equals, and people ran with that, saying, no, Meghan, Netflix is your boss. Netflix is your boss, obviously. Netflix owns you, owns the show, can make or break your brand, etc. And people take this to be evidence of the fact that Netflix isn't in control, because Meghan thinks that she is. She thinks that she's a partner. She thinks that she has power in this situation, and it couldn't be farther from the truth. I think people are falling for like the most logical opportunity in their mind, which is that she is an outlier and they can't predict her actions. But I think that it doesn't matter. Whatever outcome happens, it only benefits to bring their name into the limelight again. I truly do. The terrible, absolutely horrible nature of this documentary only brings more attention to it. And especially with this, the editing, the weird music, the cha-cha-cha music, the dun-dun-dun-dun music when nothing's going on, that turns it into like a makeshift Jaws. Like, they benefit from the wild goose chase that she creates. And that is why they tolerate her. Because it's not about Meghan Markle, it's about views, it's about money. If they weren't going to make any money, then they wouldn't have accepted her. Netflix benefits from her crashing and failing on television. People want to watch that. They will probably watch all of the episodes, even though they say they won't, because it's funny. Like, it's genuinely entertaining how bad that it is, or how unorganized all of this stuff. People will watch it, despite anything else. And she took the bait. She took this show and thought, whatever her reasoning was, that she would be able to benefit from Netflix just pointing a camera at her and watching her explode. Like, as specifically and especially with her rebranding ARO to As Ever. I think Netflix reveled in this information. They reveled in the fact that it's so unorganized that it could become publicity.